The $6 Million Man, how to play and review next on another episode of Board Game Addict. All right, everyone, we are going to be talking about actually how to play the $6 Million Man. Let me say that this game is super easy. It's super simple. Let's start with the objective of the game, kind of what the game's about and how it's played. Well, the first thing you got to understand is you've got 4 players, so you can play 2 to 4 people. And the idea is that there are at least 3 fake $6 Million Mans. That's 3 fake Steve Austins, and one of them's real. Now, how do you determine which one is the real Steve Austin as opposed to the other ones? Well, he's the one who wins the game. So that's kind of how it's played. That's kind of how the objective is determined. So basically, everyone is the $6 Million Man, but only one of you is the legitimate $6 man. And how do you tell you're the legitimate $6 man? Well, you win the game. Now, how do you win the game? Well, there are 4 stations on the board, okay? So you can see that that's station 1 right there. You see how it says 1? And then station 2 right here, and then 3, and then 4. And you see these little spaces where it says this is the start place, and it goes all the way around until you get to the end. Well, basically, you want to move your guy to the end of this, and then there are some rules here on how to get to the next one, and then you do that on all 4, and once you've completed all 4, you win the game, basically, okay? So let's start with how to do that. So how do you accomplish that goal? Well, first of all, you got to start with how many players you're going to play with. Let's just say, for example, we're going to play with 2 players just to make things easy. So you start with your 2 players, and I'm going to choose red and yellow here just randomly, and hopefully nobody fights about who wants to be red or who wants to be yellow or whatever. But if there's any fight, you have this little spinner here, and you can spin, and whoever gets the highest can choose whichever one they want first if you want to, if there's any squabbling or anything like that. So after you've chosen who you want to be, red and yellow, each player gets 8 $6 Million Man power cards. Now, there's no need to shuffle these because they are the same. They're all the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so you get 8 cards and 8 cards, and then the next thing you want to do is you all start on the first station, and then you spin your little spinner to see who goes first, and then you return the remainder of the cards back to the holding spot in the spinner, which comes out. I mean, this is an old game, 1975, and we just held it like that and then spun it, okay? So I'm going to talk about how the cards work and how this works on the board. So you decide who goes first by who spins the highest number. Well, after that, then basically every time you spin, you make your way around the board. And this is where it gets really super simple, because the board basically tells you what you're supposed to do. So for example, right here, if I spin 2 and I move 2, this thing right here, it says perfect launch, move ahead 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I moved ahead 5 spaces, and lo and behold, I landed on a power card, which means I get another power card. This person gets another power card, and it doesn't interfere with his turn. Now, what are the power cards all about? Let's start there as well, because you can spend your power cards And the reason why you would want to spend them is due to the fact that, yes, you can have this spinner determine how many spaces you want to go, but you can also spend your power cards. So let's say, for example, this guy's up here, and then you're like, man, I need to get past that guy. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power cards, so our 5 spaces. So instead of taking your chance on the wheel, what you do is you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you put it back in the deck, and then you're able to move ahead of that person. So you're able to move as many power cards as you want to go. Now, here's the problem though. In order to stay in the game, you always have to have 1 power card. So you can never get less than 1 power card. So you always have to be holding on to 1 power card. Now, what happens if you get all the way down, you lose a power card? Because some of these on here actually say, if you land on them and it's your bad luck, you actually lose power cards. So for instance, here's one here, where I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, and I get down to here, and it actually says on here, it says lose 1 turn or 2 power cards. So it's your choice. But some of them are just lose 2 power cards. So you have to be careful with how many power cards you're willing to spin. Now, of course, you can pick power cards up along the way. Now, here's the other thing. So let's say you get completed and you get all the way to the end. How do you get to section 2? Well, on the green arrow, on the green space, it says spin 5 or more to move to assignment 2. So you're stuck on that one until you spin. Actually, you're not stuck there until you spin 5 or more. Now, every time you don't spin a 5, you lose a power card, and then the other person gets a chance. Now, that only happens twice. After twice, you're allowed to move to the next assignment. If you're on 2, then you're on, then 3, then 4, and so forth. So basically, if you're on this and you spin, and you don't get 5, you get 2, well, I give them a power card, and then I wait my next turn. And then I spin again, and it's a 4. I didn't spin 5. I give them a power card, and then I have to wait till my next turn. After that, I only get 2 tries. After it's my next turn, then I get to move no matter what. So you only lose 2 power cards no matter what. But the problem is you want to stay ahead. That's the whole idea, is to stay ahead of everything. And the board basically tells you, either you lose a turn, or you lose 2 power cards, or you lose a turn and a power card, or you decide to spend your power cards to get ahead of another person rather than letting the spinner determine. Now, there's one final thing on the board that you have to watch for, and that's this green arrow, okay? The green arrow will actually send you back. So if I'm here on a power card and there's 1, 2, 3, and I spin a 3 and I land on the green arrow, I spin this green arrow, I spin this thing, and then it goes 2. So I have to go back 2, and I went back 2, and I went back to where it says lose 2 power cards. So that can kind of be a little bit frustrating. And then I have to spin again to catch up and get past that. So you can see that you're always playing this game of losing power cards, or having the chance of being set back, or having the chance or losing a turn, or having the chance of somebody move ahead of you. And remember, the goal is to kind of get to the very end, to the 4th assignment, and then after the 4th assignment, you get to the Bionic Research Lab. That's the last part. So you have 4 of these little things that you have to go through. They go this way, and then you go on to the next one, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and then finally the person who makes it to the Bionic Research Lab first is the real Steve Austin. Now, there's one more little wrinkle in the game, and that is if you ever land on a place where there's already another Bionic Man. So let's say we're here, and this person's here, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he rolls a 6, and boom, he lands here. Well, then you have like what's called a challenge, and both of you have to spin this, and whoever gets the highest number gets to actually move ahead to, and this person who didn't get the highest number has to pay this person a power card. So he loses a power card and this person gets to move ahead too. So you can never be on the same space at the same time. If you're on the same space, it comes down to the wheel of destiny here, or the computer wheel. So if you spin the computer wheel and whoever spins the highest, this person spins a 6 and this person spins a 5. Well, this person gets to move ahead 6 spaces, and then this person has to pay that person who won a power card, so he loses a power card. And you always have to have 1 power card. And I don't know if I said this, but if you're ever in a situation where you're out of power cards, you lose a turn and you have to pick up 1 power card. So if you have 4 players and all 3 players have to go first, and then you get to pick up a power card, and then you get to spin. And just hope you don't spin on something that makes you lose a power card. Okay, so real easy, real simple. You're basically making your way around the board in these 4 areas, and you don't want to land on the green back arrow. If you land on the green back arrow, it tells you you have to spin the wheel, and it tells you to go back so many spaces. And then, you have the chance of people getting ahead of you. You can pick up power cards along the way. At the end of each station, it tells you how much you have to spin in order to get off of that station and move to the next one. You can only lose on that twice. After 2 times, you get to move to the next one regardless. And as soon as you finish all 4 assignments, you're done. You're the winner of the game. All right, now let's play and review. All right, so we just got done playing 3 rounds of the $6 Million Man. Ash, what did you think?
Very old school. It's considering the fact it was, what did you say, 1975?
1975.
It's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is, as part of the series on this whole thing where I went out and bought this game, and then I did an unboxing, and now we've played it. And so now is the review of the game. And you liked it, but
yeah,
it was $6 Million Man, and Ashton's a lot younger than I am, so he didn't even actually know that this was actually a television show.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I didn't see any of it. I knew it was a thing, but...
And as you know, I grew up on it, so it was good for me to play it. But I'll start here. So let me just say, number one, it's one of those games that's a little bit more immature. It's more like geared towards children, kind of a thing. It's like ages 7 to 14. But also, let me say that because of that, I actually really enjoyed it, because the flow of the game was we were just going, like, the first time wasn't that hard to figure out, and then after that it was just back and forth, back and forth,
yep.
back and forth. So the flow of the game was excellent. I really enjoyed the flow of the game.
It's very simple concept. It's easy to understand. And it's a lot of fun too. You can play up to 4 people, which is nice.
Yeah, you can play up to 4 people, and that was well, we only had 2, but I could see how 4 people would be a little bit more enjoyable. But it was nice. Mm-hmm. It was a fun game. There is a strategy to it. There's a small little bit of strategy.
And deciding, hold onto your power cards, burn them so you move ahead spaces on your turn, so you don't have to risk the RNG of the wheel.
Yeah. Other than that, it's really just kind of spin, and then whatever you land on, it tells you what to do, whether you have to go back or whether you have to give up power cards or whatever. But you're
getting stuck in the loop of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah. That happens a couple times where you hit 5 and then you go forward to the space that says go back, and then you go back. You have to spin See how many spaces you go back?
And you
then
go back 5.
And then you
It's
hit
just-
the exact thing that will put you right back on, and you have to do that a couple of times.
Hopefully you break the cycle, or you just stay screwed and you just
Well,
use the power cards.
Well, but that kind of kept it interesting, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it was just like one of those things, like you never knew who was going to be ahead.
Yeah.
Like it could, like you look like this person was going to be ahead, but you might be able to pull ahead.
Yeah.
I think that maybe you might have used strategy a little bit more if there was more than 2 players.
Yeah,
Maybe?
definitely.
Yeah, because you have amount of cards, and then the cards you can either hold on to them or you can use them as a turn.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a resource, and the number of cards you decide to burn dictates the number of moves you make. You start off with 8, but there's no limit on number you can hold. I mean,
No.
there were times I was holding on to 15, 16 cards. And
Yeah.
Then just burned 8 and moved ahead 8 spaces.
Yeah, and then like if I was ahead and he wanted to get ahead of me,
Just turn around and burn some.
He could burn some and just pull ahead. And then there's even some strategy, because there was one time, because there are certain places on the board where you actually pick up a power card. So on one of the turns I burned a couple power cards, but I burned the number it took me to land on
another one, so that way the
so
net loss was significantly less.
yeah, the net loss was less. That's a good way to put it. So actually, I really enjoyed this game. This is an old game. I know that I was looking on Amazon, and they had them from anywhere from $120 to like $6 or something like that. I guess it depends upon the condition.
Yeah, if it's mint condition, never open, you're gonna be spending some money. But definitely a nice collector's item if you want to turn around and sell it.
Yeah, and definitely this is a collector's item, and it was a lot of fun to playing the oldest game that I own right now, because I actually just bought it a week or so ago, so it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Fun.
It's nice, simple game. I mean, you can if you have a small family or you just got a small group of friends, you want to have a quick game night, there you go.
It's good. So we give it 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Or what would you say is like a 1 out of 10? How would you rate it as a 1 out of 10?
Due to its simplicity and how fun it can be, I give it a 7.
7? Yeah, I'd give it probably an 8. Probably. The
For
only
you, it's a little bit of nostalgic value too.
Yeah,
on that
8,
one.
actually 8 or 9. The only thing is it's simple, but then the simple part of it pays off because you're just going back and forth.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I forgot to mention the one thing, and I do understand this because I understand the idea of this game being an old game and being back in when computers were a new thing. The spinner. It would be better if it was dice.
Some die, that'd be nice. Like
'Cause-
two D6s would work perfectly. Or just a single D6.
Yeah, just a single 6.
Actually, 2 D6 would actually be really bad. Just single D6.
Yeah, single D6. I would suggest that. But the problem with the spinner was it would land kind of in the middle sometimes, and
And then you
weren't
can't
sure.
decide, and you're like, yeah, screw it, spin again.
Yeah, but I get it why they did it for this, because this is 1975. Computers were kind of a big thing, and you're trying to do a random computer number clock thing rather than roll the dice. So it's kind of trying to be a little bit more faithful to the time and a little bit more faithful to the $6 Million Man television show. But if you can actually as easily just play with the dice too.
Yeah,
you could bring your own die and then just roll it
And
instead of
just use a
spinning
simple
it.
D6 if you don't want to use a spinner. It worked just fine. I've never seen a dice get stuck on the side.
Not get stuck. I've never seen a dice get stuck in the middle where you couldn't tell if it was a 5 or a 6 or a 4 or a 5 or whatever. But we were doing that quite a bit. We're like,
It was like, which way is it on? Is it more on the 4? Is it more on the 6?
Yeah.
Every roll.
So, all right. So I would give it probably 8. Well, I'd say 8.5, and you would give it.
I give it a solid 7.
Solid 7. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this edition of Board Game Attic, and we're going to be playing another game next week. And so I'll be doing the whole unboxing and all that stuff too in the leading up to actually playing the game. So you'll have to stick around and see which game it is. I'm not going to let you know what it is. All right.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Yes, it is going to be an interesting one. All right. We'll see you.